People are drawn away from vegetarianism with the idea that the tradition never lies. Although the tradition of eating meat with every single meal is starting to be recognized as a source of strain on the environment, the well-being of the animals, and the human body. And for this reason, I believe that vegetarians need to stop being criticized. Animal cruelty is the main reason to why the majority of vegetarians chose to become vegetarian. It's the idea that killing a living being so that we can have a big juicy filet mignon on our plate just really isn't worthwhile. And that most people admit that the industry is disgusting, but they'll still eat it. And that makes me sick to my stomach. Because I believe that more people would feel the way I do if only they became more educated as to how the animals that they eat are treated, while setting aside the fact that the animals are murdered in cold blood. There is nothing humane or normal about how the animals in factory farms are treated. They begin their horrific journey by being marked for identification purposes with the hot fire iron rods being pressed up against their skin, which causes third-degree burns. The rest of this initiation procedure is ripping off of the male's testicles without any sort of pain reliever, and then finally cutting or burning off any horns that the cows may have. Chicken beaks are cut off to avoid them from attempting to hurt other chickens, while antibiotics are being pushed through their system and are driving them mentally insane. Keep this in mind. This is only the initiation period. The rest of their time in the factory farms are much more gruesome. These farms squish thousands of cows into pens filled 3 feet high with manure. In this space, the animals cannot lie down or turn around. And the majority of these animals develop severe respiratory problems from inhaling intense amounts of methane and ammonia that fill the air of the farms caused by the amount of manure. This means that it hurts the animals to breathe. Each breath is sharp like knives in their throats. And it's scary and hard to imagine the reality of the conditions that these animals are forced to endure. And I'm only describing to you a very teeny small portion of it. The animals must also deal with abuse from farmers who are brutal and cruel. Now let's address the environmental consequences that are caused by the meat industry. To prove my point, here are some frightening facts. Did you know that to make one hamburger, it requires as much fossil fuel as it takes to drive a small car 20 miles, while the typical pig farm produces as much raw waste as a city of 12,000 people? All this raw waste is contributing to the unimaginable qualities of polluted water. Almost 21% of each Canadian's contribution to water pollution is derived from their consumption of meat from high-density farms. We all know that the cars we drive produce greenhouse gases which spew into the air. We all know that. If you don't know, greenhouse gases such as methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide capture the sun's rays and therefore heat up the atmosphere, which causes global warming. And although what most don't know is that the production of meat is a close second to the transportation industry in terms of the number of tons of greenhouse gases that it produces each and every year. Out of the 36 billion tons of greenhouse gases that humans produce every year, the meat industry is responsible for 22% of that. Now that is an issue that is so massive, yet so easy to fix. Meat is harmful to the body in many ways. Let's be specific and focus on red meat, which is by far the most harmful meat that you can put into your body. Let's begin with red meat's effect on the brain. Everyone knows that red meat is potent in iron, which in moderation is indeed very good for the human body, although when consumed in excess, it can lead to Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is a neurological disorder in which the death of brain cells results in memory loss. And this disease is suspected to be caused by multiple possible disruptions of the neurons in the brain, which must communicate with each other in order to survive. Myelin, which is a fatty tissue that coats the neurons, can be destroyed if there is a collection of iron in the brain. Now let's move on to the heart, where red meat does an immense amount of damage. A compound known as carotene, which is found in the meat, causes arteriosclerosis, which is the hardening or clogging of the arteries and vessels in the heart, which causes heart failure. Also, on top of all that, eating red meat can result in developing of type 2 diabetes, and it's proven that by eating so much as 1 hot dog or 2 slices of bacon daily, it can result in a 19% increase in the development of this life-altering disease. Now, vegetarians should not be criticized as much as they are, simply because they have it right. Vegetarians are not automatically perfect people, but they are constantly taking a large step towards trying to save the environment above all else. So be kind to Mother Nature and all of us loving animals, and cut meat out of your diet. Take the first step towards being eco-friendly, because if you don't, who will? Thank you.